weather call for every single of men's and women's skeleton, and I don't think it will be any different for
Four now. As that wind starts to kind of come and go like the tide. The elevation is roughly 4,700 feet at the top of Whiteface Mountain. Or the track, the other track in the United States, Park City, Utah, the track is roughly at 7,000 feet. So you've got different conditions battling out for the track. That's here.
IBSF World Championships. Thank you for another great competition.
Track is clear to start one for our second 3-4 runners. Through curve one, coming down through cliffside. Through cliffside, sliding into the white face curve. Also, that's curve 4 and entering the Devil's Highway. Through the highway into Shady Duke. Sliding the last portion of our track. Coming through the chicane, now into the heart. Through 18, they're coming up to 19. Sliding across the finisher and crossing the finish line. Just a quick public service announcement. All respected by a bobsled. Also, if you are on a deck that doesn't have a railing between you and the track, you probably should be there as a railing to keep the view from falling. All right, our track is clear to start one for our third and final 4-runner. So let in. Once again, this is the third of 3 4-runner sled. After this, we'll be getting into the exciting competition. We're having our Superman World Championships. Number 1 there, through the cliffside, sliding their way into the 4. Now, it's Devil's Highway. Through the highway, making their way into the Shady Duke. Coming down through the line. And they're making their way
Good morning and welcome to Lake Placid. The weekend starts here, and it starts with the beginning of the two-man bobsleigh World Championships. We're at Mount Van Hoevenberg in the two-time Olympic town of Lake Placid, and this is the fourth different track on which they have been sliding here for 95 years. Welcome everybody. Martin Haven and Great Britain slider Greg Cackett ready for the first of 4 heats. 32 sleds in our field, now reduced to 31 with one late withdrawal. But Greg, this Lake Placid track, it's not easy, it's not a highway. This is a proper racetrack, and the drivers will have to be right on the money.
Yeah, this track is not for the faint of heart at all. So firing out of the start there, it's a bit of a steeper start, take you into corner 1, and you're really looking from corner 2 here. We're looking for a nose down, no skid out of there, because that'll scrub away your velocity. So watch speed dropping off if anyone makes mistakes there. Round corner 4, this launches you into the Devil's Highway. This is the infamous section. Big couple of double right set us up here before this, frenetic section through 6, 7, 8, and you're looking to keep that smooth as possible. When you come around Shady 2 here into 10, this is where essentially the brakemen know the Devil's Highway is over, but it's not over yet. You're heading into Labyrinth. Takes you around here trying to keep this as smooth as possible as well into number 14, which will shoot you into this chicane. Now watch pilots trying to keep this as straight as possible, but some square taps down there and it's not too bad. Round into corner 17 here, into 18. Watch for side taps here, can get a bit spicy down there in the two-man if you take a tap too early. And coming into the uphill here, brakemen can breathe a sigh of relief. Pop a few paracetamol and pull the brakes, because it is a hell of a ride down there. It's good fun, but your head is getting jumbled around like you're going 12 rounds with Tyson. So
track record dates back to 2003, so 22 years old. Pierre Luders and natural world bodybuilding champion Giulio Zardo with the crew. Pierre's still here. You'll see him coaching this afternoon in the monobob race. There in the dressing room, you saw the tall figure of Francesco Friedrich, alongside him Adam Amor, 2 of our hot German tips for success. And out in the blizzard, Patrick Baumgartner of Italy, the first ever youth Olympic champion in men's bobsleigh. What about the Americans? How are they going to fare on the home track? They've got 3 sleds, and they've, certainly with Frank Del Duca, got a great opportunity to rattle a few cages. But it's hard to look really much beyond this year's medalists. So Francesco Friedrich, Hansi Lochner, Brad Hall, possibly Adam Amor. It's a tough little group to break into, isn't it, for any driver?
100%, especially in the two-man when you've got such strong kit with the FES group. But anything can happen here. Now, keep your eye on Mickey Vogt as well. He's a little further down the field here. He came to the season a little late after back surgery, but Mickey has got skills here, and he's been fast in training.
Yeah.
That's him there at number 13.
Yeah. And the thing that we've seen so often on this track is you can have a couple of really good runs. You make one mistake and you're absolutely murdered by the track. It forgives nothing. Now, Suk-in Jung of Korea pulled out at the last moment. We've got a big field, though. A lot of athletes here that we have not seen before. The first run of 4 of the IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Championships gets underway with the multiple world and Olympic champions Francesco Friedrich and Alexander Schuller. Martin Haven and Greg Cackett watching the action trackside here in Lake Placid.
Interesting. 5:13 gets us going. Now that's historically is not too quick here, so we'd be looking at something in the mid to low 5.0s or even sub 5. So the start may not be running well. So we'll see how that stacks up. Out of 3 days, so we'll take the big tap, which is normal, and here we go into the Devil's Highway. This is where Alex will be holding on tight.
Trying to ride it. Riding the sled is a real art for the brakeman, trying not to fight the G-forces. It's a bit like being a passenger on a motorcycle.
Absolutely. The track crew here, they've had the Koenigsegg track crew in to kind of help smooth this out. It's been a bumpy ride in the OTs, but it's got better and better and better. So we're going to be really interested to see the speeds here. Nicely through the chicane.
135.7. That's 84 miles an hour. Still accelerating down through the hard, out across the finish line, 54.64.
Okay.
And that is 300ths off the track record.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I've just clocked that. Interesting. So, not so much speed on the start ramp, but speed in the track. Interesting.
Well, we know that France always knows what the records are and is always looking to break records. We saw records in both the women and the men's skeleton races over the last couple of days.
Little flop off through there.
That's 17-18. It's been really hard
But it's the interesting thing. We're all in the same boat here.
Yeah.
We're all going to be all potential to make these same sort of mistakes.
300s off a 22-year-old track record.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And the sleds were very different then, and the weights were very different then. Next up, Hansi Lochner and Georg Fleischauer. What a combo this pair have become. 36-year-old Fleischauer came in 3 or 4 years ago, basically convinced, with the brio that he brought, convinced Hansi not to retire after Beijing, I think.
Yeah, well, you know what? I had my eyes on Fleischauer a few years ago in the Beijing test event. He was given a shout on Hansi's foreman, and the sled just took off.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's going to be he's going to be looked at for the next few years. And then since then, they've been world champions together. They've really come on strong. Now they will be looking at this start time, thinking they want a piece of that. 5:13, 5:14. So the start is moving slower. The start record is 4:96. Big Evan Weinstein, and it's really interesting. Oh, a bit of a skid out there. So watch the velocity come off here. That might affect him taking this to Friedrich.
Bottom right, you can see his current ranking on the split time. So second behind Friedrich. He's in the red, but the speed was good.
Yeah, number one speed.
Couple of hundreds.
It's maintaining only 100th in it.
It's literally a 10th of a kilometre an hour quicker than Francesco Friedrich. This is going to be really close.
That's a bit spicy, Hansi. That might.
Rattles the chicane. Triple tap. If he can be clean, he should limit the damage to within a 10th of a second. How close to the line? 54.74, but you can't get down here mistake-free. You definitely can't get down here mistake-free 4 times. What you can't do is have more than one loose run, or Friedrich is going to murder you, I'm afraid. So,
absolutely.
Indeed, if Friedrich has a real stinker, then Hansi or Brad or the others will get a chance to look in as well.
Definitely, and this track is an interesting one for the two-mans from FES as well, because it's such a bumpy, bouncy track, and there are so many opportunities to make big mistakes. Look, he's taken tap. He's offline. They're not nice square taps. You know, in the fine margins at the top of this game, you're trying to chase Francesco Friedrich. Yeah. He's done well to keep that to a 10th, to be fair.
He really has.
This will be interesting.
It will be interesting. Brad Hall and Big T, Taylor Lawrence behind him. Well, Brad hasn't had a two-man gold this season, but he's been in the medals in the 2 and in the 4. And from the outside looking in, and I know you're on the inside of it, he just looks like he's in really comfortable, confident form.
Brad's just really come into his own. Each year he gets better and better and better. The guy just understands how to drive. He understands what bobsleighs feel like in the corners. He understands how to make fix mistakes. He just does this all exceptionally well. When you've got a powerhouse like Taylor on the back, 5:19, so that's stacking up well, only a few hundreds off the big boys.
Yep.
So he's given Brad the velocity here. Now let's see if Brad has got this in the hands. Nice out of 2. He'll take the tap out of 3. In a correction, but he's keeping this square. Now, this is my favourite part of commentating with Brad, because I like to critique his lines, and then here's a go, and you learn.
Top speed, 90.8 kilometres an hour.
That was not so good. Come on, Brad, sort it out.
Again, the last day of training was a lot warmer than this, so the track is going to feel a little different.
Yeah.
He's a bit behind on some of the steers. When the track is icy and the bobsled runs even freer, you've got to anticipate. Third best speed. This is a big gap to the leader.
Yeah, he's going to be really devastated with that one.
Yeah.
He'll know the mistakes there. Yeah, frustrated with that.
Oh, got away from him. 55-52 run. That is the one. Now, the remaining 3 runs are going to have to be absolutely on the money if he's challenging for medals.
Yeah, and if there's anyone that can come back and sort this out, it's Brad Hall. But yeah, he'll be really frustrated with an opener like that, because hey, look at the articulation spin the other way, and when you got the big man T in the back there, he'd have felt he's bouncing around like this is a 114-kilo man bouncing around like a rag doll. So you see what this track can do to you.
He was close to going over there, wasn't he? That kind of felt good in the back or the front, and then long skid out of the chicane. As you come up over the brow, the sled just goes light, and any slight variation from straight gets wilder and wilder. So 3 sleds down then, and next up for Germany, Adam Moore with big Benny Hertel on the back. Benedict Hertel, the giant in Amore's crew. Mind you, Adam makes him look even taller, because he's not the tallest of athletes, but boy, he's a powerful driver.
Oh, Adam is phenomenal. He's as a push athlete, we've seen him topping out push testings for a number of years now, and he's still young. And I was really happy for Big Benny to get the nod here, because you got lads in the crew like Nick Stadelman, 5'12", #1 star. There you go. Well done, Benny. Done earn your Deutschmarks there. Well done. He's been great all year, but you've got Nick Stadelman in the crew. They pushed a 5:07 in ultimate. They got that start record before Friedrich got to it. So we just knew from the start of this year these guys were going to be pushing very schneller. And this, look, #1 speed.
Yeah, good speed. Second best velocity off the start. We had the fastest start within 600s. Tracy is a 10th back at the line. This is got all the signs of a German 1-2-3 in the first heat.
Does see how he comes out here. This is not Adam is driving really well here.
Chef's kiss there. That was a great chicane. Second best speed. Lochner was quicker at the bottom, but Friedrich was the fastest through the heart. Where's he going to end up? 1600s back. 600s behind Hansi.
Rupert and Nick, part of the four-man crew in the box there. I mean, that's just shows again the levels, the margins, the nuances of the driving with Hansi and Friedrich, because Adam looked, I'd say, as clean as anyone. He looked cleaner than Hansi's run, but he's still that slight bit further back. So it just shows that there's just so much to this game. There's so much to driving. There's so much to the feel of the rock. But brilliant job, Benny. Great job in the start here, mate. 5:12 on a slow running day. That's not too shabby.
Yeah. Well, when you outstart Lochner's crew, when you outstart Friedrich's crew, you know you've had a good getaway.
Oh, and that is all Benny will be caring about.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll be out to the other brakeman saying, "Yep, I'm #1, baby."
Well, the first thing you always hear when the sled comes in is the coach gives you the start time, because that's what the brakemen care about.
Don't tell me the downtime. I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yada, yada. Patrick Baumgartner and Rob Massey now for Italy. 8th in the last World Championships in Winterberg. We've just seen our top 4 from the last Worlds go down. The greatest World Championships in the two-man for Patrick Baumgartner.
Well, and Patrick will be he'll be certainly looking at Brad here, thinking there's a spot to gain. Patrick is, we were talking about him earlier, youth Olympic champion in the bobsled, but he's starting now at the right time as we approach Milan for our home games to really come into his own. The boys are launching off to big starts. He's never really had the starts. 5:28 getaway there. Big Massey on the back, probably the strongest man in the field in the absence of Blaine McConnell. He's a massively strong weightlifter. This is like 190 kilo cleaner. Like, this guy is absolutely phenomenal. And combined with Lorenzo Bellotti and Eric Fantazzini in the four-man, we're starting to see their stars creep up into the world-class region, and it's just wonderful.
If you're going to peak at home games, it's the time to peak. 4th best speed, but he's 5th on the splits. Brad Hall, 8800s back. This is going to be close to Brad.
Yeah, we'll get a steer on just how much those mistakes cost Brad here, because Patrick has shown us some pretty decent lines. He's made a few mistakes, a few little skids and everything, but he's going back, so...
Not quite as much drama, but maybe not quite as much going on in the sled either. Ooh, okay. 63, hundreds back. Well, a second back, and that's only the 5th sled down. The German team have definitely come here loaded for bear, haven't they?
Absolutely.
I mean, they're always the benchmarks in this sport, have been for so many years.
I mean, look at the speeds, man. We've got 135 from Friedrich, 131 from Patrick there, 132 from Brad. Yes, there were mistakes, and yes, there were areas where the speed was sort of scrubbed away, but the golf, 135, 134, 134, you give a big start and a solid drive to these German sleds, they're just rocket ships. Yeah, their aerodynamics are excellent, and their dynamics are excellent as well, the German sleds. And there again, just a little late exit means he has work to do to sort it out. Absolutely. And in the words of John Morgan, he's come up with so many great phrases that everybody still uses. It's not the driver that drives the most that wins, it's the driver that drives the least. And that's it, you lead it onto the corner, you don't wrestle it in and out. Chris Woolley at the front of the first of our Swiss sleds. And this is the first of our names that you might recognise if you've been around a little while. Timo Röner with Greg Jones behind him, son of world champion Marcel Röner. Timo getting a full-time World Cup drive for the first time in his career this season. Yeah, and he's had a good season, Timo. And I tell you what, I want to shout out Greg Jones as well, not just because he's got a wonderful name. He's also a strong British connection from Greg. He sounds English. People are very confused when they meet Greg. But he has been in outstanding form this year. He's learning to drive himself, but as a brakeman, he's just been in absolutely phenomenal shape. He's given Timo a really good shove there.
Yeah, he's a bit of a problem for the team because actually they want to develop him as a driver because he's so strong and powerful and he's taking to the ice, but they need him as a brakeman. And we've got that in the Italian team as well, with Alex Virginer, who'll drive in the 2-man and then be back pushing in the 4-man for Baumgartner.
Yeah, exactly the same. Another great push athlete, doing extremely well. The Timo's coming down pretty well here.
Yeah, he is. He's ahead of Patrick Baumgartner. How close is he going to be to Brad Hall? Not too far away from 4th place. Brad 8800s back, 100,
does drop.
200s behind Baumgartner. The heart is the real graveyard of time here. You can go in looking great and come out and go, well, where the heck did that go?
Well, yeah, that was 2 tenths between the last split.
Yep.
So we thought he was 300s from Brad, and then suddenly 2 tenths. Interesting. So keep an eye on some of the other sleds down there. That's it's also particularly for the brakeman. It's a particularly bumpy part of the track down there. So maybe if there's again slight mistakes, that speed is just dialing out of the runners down there.
His rocky transitions there at the end of the Devil's Highway, not quite as dramatic as Brad's, but getting there. So Francesco Frugic, Johannes Longner, Adam Amora, top 3. A little shake of the head there for Timo Rona. Coming up next is teammate Cedric Follador and Quentin Juillard on the back of the sled. Quentin making his World Championship debut here. And Luca Rolli, who's been with Cedric all season long, not fit. The Swiss have got a couple of injury problems. Nadia Pasternak didn't come here to slow with Mel Hazza in the women's race. And Mel won't go this afternoon in the monobob either because she's caught some disgusting lurgy here.
But hey, this is a great opportunity for Quentin because this 5:34 getaway, pushing Cedi here in the absence of Luca, great chance to stake your claims as an out-and-out 2-man world champs brakeman. And I've watched Quentin in training recently. He's been moving really well, sprinting really well. His lifts in the gym are speedy. He's really dialed in for this world champs. Good to see.
7th at the start, but top 5 speed.
Cedi's another one as well. He's similar to Timo, similar to Patrick. Hasn't always had the athleticism in the push on the pilot handle, but absolutely has the driving skills.
Speed is good. 4th best speed, so he's clicked up ahead of teammate Timo Rona. Still has 4th best speed. He's up to 5th place on the splits ahead of Patrick Baumgartner. Good opener from Cedric Follador.
So let's see what happens. Does that time come away? 7 tenths. Is it going to drop to 9? Only to 8. Okay, interesting.
4th
Jumps ahead of Brad.
Jumps Brad Hall by 600s. That's a really good first run from Cedric Follador. Quick, get down the bookies.
That's a really good run, because you know what? Look how far back they are. 5:19 for Brad to a 5:34 for Cedi.
Yeah.
And going later in the field as well, you'd argue slightly worse quality ice. He's driven himself into contention there.
Yeah, really has. That's a great loosener. That's going to give him so much confidence.
Look at these transitions. Just fly out there. You see the articulation really spins. That brakeman just gets washing machined around.
Well, there you go. That much cleaner there, much less dramatic than Rona and Hall and Baumgartner. And that's the going away shot down into the chicane.
Yes, you can see there. That's a really good shot actually to show just how tricky it is. It's not just a straightaway. You're sort of little rocks and rolls, and it's undulating, and it's not easy to shoot that.
Yeah, you dip down and come back up under the outrun of the track. So, yeah, lots of changes going on. Now then, Kim Jin-soo and Kim Hyung-gyun for Korea. Kim Jin-soo, former brakeman turned driver after the Beijing Games. And boy, has he been in good shape this season.
Pushing the teens here. There you go, 5:17. Wow. Another big getaway for the boys. I love these guys, honestly. The South Korean team are just the most fun team to be around. They are so respectful. They're just a great vibe on the circuit. And they are awesome athletes. Yeah. These guys can lift, they can push, and Jin-soo's has had phenomenal ascendancy in the front seat.
5th best speed. He's 4th fastest at the start, still holding 4th place.
Really good here, 1700s back, he's flying.
Well, this is how he's been this season in the 2-man. He's really been impressive for his first year in the World Cup as a driver.
So he deals with the chicane.
Little skid
out the back.
Let's see what the speed's like as he comes down into the heart.
So I wonder if that little skid, so you've got down to half foot, 3 tenths to half a second.
Still 4th place.
Can he get ahead of Cedric?
Ahead of Follador.
He can.
Yes, he does, by a 10th. Wow. All right, so
there we go.
Yeah, this is going to be 4 heats where everything gets completely mixed up, except conceivably the top 3. If Adam Amor, Johannes Lochner and Francesco Friedrich don't have a disaster, they are likely to take the medals. But behind, let's pick a name, any name.
Yeah, the wider podium's going to be a hell of a battle here, because Brad will be coming back from that first run. And the main thing is with these guys, it's 4 runs across 2 days. The consistency is the absolute key here. Some people make the mistake, especially young pilots in their early careers, where they might nail it for a run, and then they'll be shocking in the second run. And then, you know, that was something Brad learned over time, just to be more consistent, just to be okay across 4 is much better than, you know, flying up and down. So.
100%, yeah. That's a great start. Great start for Kim Jin-soo of Korea. Now, Jacobs Kalender and Mats Miknes, these guys were racing together in Winterberg in the World Championships last year, crashed out in Heat 2. So, plenty to prove. Mats Miknes, the Superman, really, of bobsledding, 2-man and 4-man. He's done nearly 200 World Cup races alone across the 2 different disciplines in an astonishing career.
Absolutely. 5-2, good getaway for the boys. So this is, new era, legendary era, golden era, if you like, coming together here. So Jacobs has been thrust into the front seat after the retirement of Emils, and when you've got a warhorse, a stallion like Mats Miknes behind you, you're always going to be chucked out to good speeds, good velocities. It's been a mixed year for Kalender.
A little late.
Absolutely. But and actually on the start as well, I'll have to watch that back. It looked like the timing was slightly out. It didn't look like Mats has got a good hold of it, so I expect to see that coming down in the second heat too.
Might be a little slip off the block.
Yeah.
6th best at the moment. He's our 9th sled down. So ahead of Rona and Baumgartner, and currently ahead of Brad Hall of Great Britain as well.
A little bit skiddy down the chicane there, so we're going to see this coming back now. I think maybe you might see 9/10 at the bottom there.
Yeah. Slipping back to 7th place, ahead of Baumgartner, and a second back. He is ahead of Baumgartner by 300s. So Kalender, Baumgartner and Rona, 7th, 8th and 9th, covered by 500ths of a second. Lots of fingers sticking out. What's going to happen when you come across the line and you're 32nd? There's hands all over the place.
That's it. But just look at the yawning chasm between 3rd and 4th. You know, you've got 6/10 there, and then the rest of the field kind of getting a little bit clubbed together, but it shows the extraordinary speed of the Germans. But I think a little bit sloppy on the load there as well. I think there's going to be more in these boys. I'd be expecting to see these guys in the teams and the push in the next one.
Yeah, a big skid out of 3 down into 4 as they come past the junior start.
Yeah, and Jacob's going to need every 100th in that start if he's going to. What is that? 88 to a second between him and Brad Hall. So
watching his run, plenty to think about. Now then, for the home team, first of 3 US sleds, and a chance for Frank Del Duca and Charlie Volker to really put the cat among the pigeons. Now again, he doesn't have to try and win it in this heat, but he does need to position himself within distance, maybe, of the podium.
Yeah, and we'll see a big push here. Chuck Volker, he doesn't move like the rest of them, but he moves fast. He's got his figure 8 hips flying to 5:15. What a start.
And he got in so gently and slowly, it was almost like they were jogging off. Nice load.
Just extraordinary starting. So it's a 4th ranked start, but it's a 100th behind Lochner, 200th behind Friedrich. You know, these are big numbers these guys are putting out. Number 1 speed. Watch the American sled take off here. This is going to be fascinating.
Well, the MUSA sleds are built literally at the track here in Lake Placid by Mark Vandenberg. 4th best speed, so he's lost a little in the highway. The highway is going to make or break your run. There are other places that you can make mistakes, but if you are not clean through the highway, you're going to pay for it. 4th best at the moment.
So it was 2 turns, but he took square taps down the chicane. There wasn't much in the way of skidding, so he's just holding on to that speed. Maybe we'll see 3/10 at the bottom, but he's doing all right here, Frank.
Yeah, that's a really good run. 2600s back.
Hey, that's a 10th from the medals.
Yes.
They'll be delighted with that.
And that puts pressure on Adam Amor in the bronze medal position at the moment in 3rd place, because Frank's got the knowledge of this track. He's got the experience of this track. And Adam may not do.
Well, and also, they've got the start.
Yep.
You know, they're in the mix. That's what? A 12 for Adam Amor, 13, 14, and a 15 for Frank. So they're right up in the mix here.
And he'll be feeling very confident
And you're going to also fancy, you know, Frank's on worse quality ice here later in the field. Finding that sort of speed, he will be gunning for the medals here.
100%.
Adams will have to keep his nose clean in the next run. Good job, Frank.
He might not be the only one. Last time we had the World Championships here, 2012.
World's at home, look at the fans. World's at home.
This is like probably the nicest guy in the field,
Yeah.
honestly. He's such a good bloke.
2012, Stephen Holcomb won 2-man and 4-man gold. So Frank Del Duca will be looking to try and grab one of those trophies. 10 down in our first heat. Gazillion sleds still to come. Some familiar names and some brand new ones. Lee Chun-jan of Korea with Ye Chi Long. Now, last year, Ye the brakeman was with Sun Kai Chi, and Sun's brakeman was with Lee, and they've swapped around all season long between the sleds. Coaches are clearly trying to find what works best.
Yeah, not a bad getaway there with 5:23. They've equalled the Swiss team, Rona and Jones. As we said, Greg's in great shape this year, so that's a good getaway for the Chinese.
And they've hired a decent start coach as well, Damas Dreskins, the legendary Latvian pusher.
Yeah, he was all right, wasn't he?
He was okay.
Yeah, a few start records to his name.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, no, he's got an absolute legend in the staff there. Dreskins actually, for me, is the only athlete really that I've looked up to in Bobsleigh. I think, with the exception of Bruce Darsko, he's a phenomenal athlete. A bit wild from Lee down here.
It is a little. Got a good drive down out of Shady, not bad through the chicane, but from the 8th place start, he's lost ground. Dropping back behind Timo Rona, so he'll be outside the top 10.
3, well, okay.
All right, there's Damas on the left-hand side.
Yeah, just a little while from Lee there. A lot of rocky, a lot of rolling in a very rocky, rolly track. So
Yeah.
just lots of mistakes, scrubbing speed all the way down there.
Chinese all learned to drive in North America, so he's not unfamiliar with this track in any way. But it's been a while since we were here last.
And it's hard sometimes in Placid because you watch these transitions, you think, oh, that doesn't look good, oh, that doesn't look good. But it can just be the roughness of Placid.
Yeah.
You're just going for the Devil's Highway. It's like nobody looks good down there.
Well, the problem with the Devil's Highway is if you get one corner slightly wrong, then they're all wrong, and it gets wronger and wronger and wronger as you go down. For Monaco, Boris Vain and Antoine Rieu. Boris, former brakeman, man mountain of a Monegasque, 31 years old. Antoine, 27. Now, they finished in 7th place in the Worlds in Winterberg last year. With Boris a bit less familiar with this track.
He enjoys this track though. He was flying and training with us. I was asking him about it. He said he really enjoys this place. So again, I fancy him to put down a good run here. And he's got big Antoine on the back. Antoine's had some hamstring issues this year, so he's come later into the party. So he's probably still not quite at his best form, but we're looking to see something in the low 20s here. Here, down. 5:31. Okay, so yeah, we've definitely not got Antoine in his top shape here, but let's see what Boris can do in the rings.
1800s back, he's really developed into quite a smooth driver, Boris Vain. Square tap out of 3, down to 4, no skids. Then you drop into the Devil's Highway. The first 2 right-handers, and again, if you're late on one, there's nowhere that you can gather it back up.
That's it. I think he's also going to be that bit further back at the start as well. He's going to struggle with the velocity taking him here. So you take a slightly slower velocity into a track that's already going to demand mistakes from you.
Yeah.
It's just going to be so hard to find speed.
Nice chicane and good speed through the chicane. 6th fastest sled. He's the 12th man down. So if he can keep it clean down towards the line, he should start to pick up places. 1:55.93. Got ahead of Lee Chun-jan. You saw his coach there on the right, Bruno Mijon. Took a 4-man bronze for France in the games in Nagano 98. Tied for that bronze medal with Great Britain's Sean Olsen, who's here coaching Brad Hall.
Yeah, just look at that articulation flying about.
And you see the way the driver's head like whips from side to side as well. That's energy leaving the sled as you get thrown sideways. The energy you need to drive the sled forward.
Yeah, the pilots take a lot of knocks here as well. You know, their head rattling off the cowling. It's a rough ride all round.
Yeah. Get a bit of a stiff neck. All right, so for Switzerland now, we have Mickey Vogt and Andreas Haas. Mickey coming back from a really horrible crash in training in Altenburg last season.
Yeah, we always send our best out to Sandro, still recovering.
Yeah.
And like I said, Mickey is an absolute one to watch here. He's a fantastic driver. He's got Andy Has, the speedster on the back. I always say Andy Has is a triple jumper, and then he texts me and says, I'm not a triple jumper, I was a sprinter. But he's also a massive Taylor Swift fan, so I think he said he's going to try and catch a concert after the race. And just watch Mickey come down.
5:23 start, little skid 2 to 3. So only the 9th best velocity off the 8th best start. He has made up ground early on. And again, when he came back to driving, although he wasn't pushing the same way, he still had not got his strength back. Touch on the D-rings has not gone away.
No, he's a real talent. He's one of the best drivers in the field, without a shadow of a doubt. Look at this, beautiful down the chicane. Now, let's see. So he's at half a second here. That's nicely down the chicane. Will he scrub speed away? Yeah,
well, he was already down to 9th best speed. He is ahead of Brad Hall. He's ahead of teammate Cedric Follador. 6th place at the line. 5th at the line.
Just snuck in. There he goes.
Wow, found some speed at the bottom.
And like I said, I wonder if that starts with, if you get that chicane right, even if you've made mistakes elsewhere, if you can carry speed through there, it gives you just enough around that final rocky section at the bottom. So maybe that's the key here.
Top 5 run for Mickey Vogt. Brad Hall now shuffled down to 8th place. 10th place, Patrick Baumgartner. And if you're second off in the first heat, you're not a contender. That was a long skid, and you know, again, the drivers will pick out another 20 mistakes that they've made that we've only seen 2 or 3.
Absolutely. And this is me being the the single brain cell brakeman, saying like, wow, he's straight through the chicane, so he must be fast down here. But we're seeing it. I mean, Brad will tell me later that I was talking rubbish, so
well, it stops you decelerating, so it allows the track to accelerate you. Now for Romania, Mihai Tentia with Georg Jordash, and Georg has been on the back of the 2-man sled every race since Job was a boy, pretty much. He is the real regular go-to 2-man over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and he looks good. Like, there's good angles there, good acceleration angles, and Mihai as well. Still one of the youngest in the field yet, one of the most experienced in the field. He's been around a long time. 5:31 getaway, that's not too shabby.
26, he's done 2 Olympics, and yet he can still compete in the junior worlds. That's ridiculous. Yeah. 5:31 getaway is pretty decent, and Mihai always tends to outdrive his start. They don't have the fastest starts. Look at that, 9th best speed. He's 12th fastest starter. He's already picked off 1 sled. He's already up to 10th place on the splits. 7th best speed. He's having a flyer, isn't he?
Well, you could just see the transitions around Devil's Highway, just square, straight out, straight out, straight out. Square taps there, so no skids. So again, that won't damage him as much as if you have a skid down the chicane.
You put a Charles Volker or a Josh Williamson behind him, or an Alex Schuller, and suddenly he'll be or a Greg Cackett. He'll be a rocket star.
Boy, there we go.
There you go.
Good job, Mihai. But you could see that bit. The more you watch these, this is what I love about commentating. You're really watching the races as well. You really start to pick up. Okay, he's cleaner through Devil's Highway. He's cleaner through these transitions. Oh, he's got better speed.
Devil's Highway is absolutely the make or break here, isn't it? Georgetta down at the beginning. No, it's not Georgetta. That's their new coach who's arrived. But yeah, really nice run. Okay, so out of 3, standard tap, same as everybody else. Just little runner check to stop that slide. Nicely. And then here, look at him going down through the chicane. That slight little touch. Beautiful stuff.
But look at the speeds, 133. So we're seeing a lot of, outside of the Germans, 135, 134s.
Yeah.
It's 132s, 131s, 133 for Mihai. He's found speed there. Cracking job.
Yeah, customer BTC sled. Nothing fancier out of the ordinary. That's driver.
Off the shelf. Good job.
Sun Kai-chi then with Chen Heng. And Chen, as I said, has sort of been the brakeman have swapped between the 2 sleds all year long. Coach is just trying to find the right combination. Who rides well together, who gets on well together.
Yeah, they're good athletes, these guys, so I'll be fascinated. So Lee and Yi did a 5:23 in their push, an 8th ranked. So they'll be looking to be beating that, the race within the race. 5:26, so Lee gets him on this one.
He tends to have the quicker of the stars. It's been about even all season long who's been in front at the finish line.
A bit of a flop off too there, but he kept it square, so again that shouldn't affect him too badly. Now we go into the Devil's Highway, so into the Rough Rider. It's
very easy to carry a little bit too much into corner 1 and not steer early enough. Again, you can see him flopping off
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, and out of shady. Need nice height in shade, a little bit like horseshoe, late height, and then dive it down. Use that height to accelerate the sled.
So out of 14 into the chicane, nice and straight, less than 7/10, but...
Yeah, he was up to 9th on the split, so the Devil's Highway has really cost him speed. Dropping out to 13th, Lee is 14th at the moment of our 14 sleds, and he beats his teammate. There you go, lost out at the start, so the brakeman will be arm wrestling over that, but Sun just ahead of Lee, 900s in it.
A lot of shaking heads today. I think this is a challenging track. This is not easy, and it's not been consistent. You know, we've had days of -20, and I think Monday the OT was incredibly fast. The track was suddenly rapid, and then Wednesday it was slushy and rainy, and suddenly it was slow. You know, it was 3 seconds off the pace. So it's not been a consistent prep for these guys as well. And suddenly you're gone from being slow midweek to then absolutely rapid on a race day. It's a lot to adjust to, and yeah, it's like I say, everyone's in the same boat. It's a challenge for everybody, but.
Yeah, the more experience you have, the better you deal with it. And that's why the best bobsledders tend not to be in their teens, but in their 30s. And there you go, there they are at the top. Friedrich and Lochner leading Amor and Del Duca. So rattling through our sleds, this is the 16th of 31, midway point of the field. Great Britain's Adam Baird and pro rugby league player Ollie Butterworth. Not the only rugby league player in the field. We'll see a couple in the Aussie sleds, but Ollie is an absolute beast on the back of this.
He's a beast, and we also point out he's also a proud member of the Power Reg, so British Army keeping him on ice, which is great. 5:31 getaway for the boys, and Ollie wanted us to shout out his little boy Jackson as well. So Jackson, if you're watching, Dad's doing a great job.
Nice, yes, a decent time of the afternoon in the UK to be watching this.
So Ads has had a bit of a rocky ride in training. He's had a couple of spills, but he's then been getting it right. At the top, he's been looking pretty clean, so I'm interested to see how he goes through the Devil's Highway here, because this is actually not looking too bad. But he was down the bottom, he was having struggles, just out of the chicane by 17, 18. So
gets a good push out of 10.
Corner always makes me panic. He flies up there.
Yes.
Oh, I just took that clip.
Tapping a skid, comes out of the chicane, offline into 14.
No, he's taking that tap. Oh, he's done it again. This is what he was doing in training. He's just taking that tap and just pushing him across and spilling into the corner. Oh, it's...
Aye, aye, aye.
See the track workers here catch the sled.
Yeah, they've been
well
absolutely on it all week long. Well, he crosses the line, so he does get a finish time. It is going to make it really tough to make the top 20 and the final 4th heat tomorrow, but...
Yeah, Ollie took a whack. I saw that whack.
Yeah.
He'd had a whack in training as well, and that collarbone was already not too clever. It looked like he smacked that again.
Yeah.
Alex and Luca there will be on the 4-man team next week. So look, TA takes the tap, it pushes him late into the corner, and then it's just all she wrote. Gravity pushes him up again, and it's
no way back.
Fix it. It's that whack there, as you see.
Yeah, almost came back, and just not enough.
So it'll be interesting to see if he goes again. He can. This is what happened in training. He did it in the run, and then he fixed it in the next run, and he was good from there. So he'll be really frustrated with himself making that mistake again. All right, so we'll have a 5-minute track hold while the medical crew check the crew, and the sled is rescued, taken back up. You see there's a little gap in the wall there that the sled is taken out of. So that little partition pulled back, the sled can be taken out, and then we'll send the truck down with the scabbards. Yeah. So little hold, and again after training there were a few spills, weren't there? So Jakob Mandelbauer may not be unaccustomed to this. Yeah, this is part and parcel of the sport as well. You never want to see it for numerous reasons. You don't want to see crashes, but also as a racing athlete, when you're the one after, it's another thing to. It's like full starting. You know, in the 100 meters, you know, you need to gather yourself, keep yourself warm, make sure you're getting so fired up for this. You know, for the brakeman and for the pilot. Yeah. You know, the first section, this first 5 seconds of work, you are emptying the tank. You are going as fast as you can, giving as much velocity to your pilot as you can. Like, the start time's great, but it's the speed. You need to have the speed, and that takes a lot of mental prep and firing up and caffeine, and it's something to keep yourself then on an even simmer while you're on a hold. It's actually quite a skill, and again that's where you'll see the more experienced athletes doing well with that. But
you can see them slushing in some of the gouges that the sled leaves in the track. It's a mixture basically of snow and water, and it freezes on contact. So it's a little bit like plastering up holes in the wall. Lots and lots of fans out here this weekend. Yeah. This is a big sport in a small town, isn't it? You know, they've been sliding here 95 years in Lake Placid. And even when you come across the border, when you land in Montreal and you drive down, everybody at the border, which is an hour and a half away nearly, they're aware that the World Championships is in town.
Yeah, I have to say, the general response from everyone this year was how friendly the border guards were.
Yeah.
Previous years, it's like, you know, they're all armed and everyone's like, oh, we're just coming to do some bobsleigh. But they this year, they're so friendly and like, yeah, take your fingerprints, see you later. But like, very, very friendly. It was nice. Yeah. It was a nice welcome. So
yeah,
thank
really
you.
Nice.
Thank you,
and,
border.
And Lake Placid always lays out the red carpet for athletes when they come here.
Really, and everyone in the local town is so friendly. We were walking through the street the other day, and there's a guy clearing snow off his side. He went, "Hey, Great Britain!" Yeah. He's like, and then he just casually rattled off. He's like, "Yeah, you know, I won world gold in like the 80s, and I was a world champion, this sort of stuff for skeleton." I was like, "Oh, you're like, I don't know who you are, but like, you've obviously done very well." But just couldn't wait to tell us the story about when he used to be mates with the British team in the 80s and the 90s and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, just great people.
And this is sort of ground zero for the US sliding program as well. So in the last couple of days, seen so many faces who I've commentated on, and names that I know from who had been retired but are still involved. Like guys like Don Haas here up at the track, you know, in the background there with the grey beanie on. And all the guys that work here been around the sport for so long, competing, coaching, running the track, running the events. You know, it's a massive sliding family in this area, and you tap into all of that knowledge.
Definitely. We were saying this earlier, Martin, you know, where you've become such a part of the furniture in this sport. It's lovely for us to have you back out, because obviously you've been at home in your shed all season, so to have you back out as well, because you really get involved and you talk to everybody, you like to know what's going on and stuff. It's a good thing.
I love this stuff. This is why I do this job. I mean, the racing is exciting, yes, but it's just that camaraderie with the athletes and the coaches. You know, I'm lucky. I'm in the position where I can go up and ask them stupid questions so they don't say go away. They answer them with a little bit of patience. All right. Let's get our World Championships back underway. First of 4 heats here in Lake Placid, 17th of 32 sleds. Jakob Mandelbauer and Daniel Berchler. Mandelbauer, 26 years old, Berchler just 23. Second Worlds for them. Competed in Winterberg and finished in 18th place.
5:28 getaway, it's not too bad. I think Daniel's given him a couple of good shots this year, actually. And Jakob, next generation of Austrians coming up, you know, in the wake of Benny Meyer's retirement, and obviously we give our best wishes to Marcus Treichels at home, recovering. Hope that knee comes back solid and quickly. Marcus, you know, he was having a wonderful season. So that to just put a
season of seasons, So and then hopefully he'll be fit and healthy, ready for the games.
It's going to be interesting what happens with his crew, because we saw Sasha Stefan at the top there, who may be coming into the four-man for the race. We'll hang fire on that, but so far this two-man run, Jakob is looking pretty good.
12th best start, 15th
down the chicane
at the moment. 17th best speed. Let's see if he can hang on ahead of Lee Chun-Jan. Ahead of Boris Van now. This is a really good run from the young Austrian driver. 15th at the line, 55.95.
Just behind Boris.
200ths behind Boris Van. And in fact, he's 1100ths behind Sun Kai Chi, who's 13th. And he's 1600ths behind Timo Rona, who's 12th. And we make it sound like 100th is a lifetime and 1200ths is just forever. But
keep the brakes on, boys.
On this track, 1200ths is nothing. It's what we accept as normal gaps in any other race don't exist here. It's like near dead heat. You lose so much time. That was not a bad transition. Going down into the chicane, took the early tap, it just straightens him out.
Yeah,
she's bouncing up and down.
Yeah, a lot of bounce, a lot of movement.
Well, that's an old track. It was built 1980. Bit chilly. That was a good run. Good run. Next up then, Taylor Austin and Mike Evelyn. So Taylor with Mike Evelyn, 31-year-old, who was brought in by Chris Spring when he returned to sliding. And Both guys raced in the Worlds in Winterberg, but in different sleds. Taylor Austin was 22nd. Mike Evelyn went down with Pat Norton.
Yeah, so 5:33 getaway for the boys here. I think Taylor's been fancied as the more experienced pilot here in Placid, and that's why he's got Big Mike on the back. Mike is the Canadian, the Calgary Icehouse push record holder. He's pushed it phenomenal times in there. You know, he's outpushed the likes of like Alex Kopacz and like massively talented athletes. So Mike has got absolutely the skills. He's an absolute rocket on the back of the sled. And another great guy as well on the circuit. Real hungry, real nice bloke. Just nice people you want to see do well.
Yeah.
And Taylor showing in the drive here that he's not doing too badly. A little wild there.
Yeah. 17th at the start, driving himself in towards the top 10 and 7th best speed.
Here we
this
go.
will be a real loosener for Taylor Austin. He could be top 10 at the end of this run. How close is he going to be? Very close. He's on the money. 55.63. Jesse Lumsden there.
Yeah. I tell you what, they've got a 17th start to a 10th place finish. That's he's got to be very happy with that.
Well, picked out Jesse Lumsden coaching in the Worlds in 2012. Took the silver medal in the two-man with Lyndon Rush, who's also coaching.
Yeah.
And they had great speed at the bottom. Taylor Austin and Pat Norton, who comes up next. Of course, they learned and have spent most of their time racing in North America. They know this track well. What a great first run.
But that's also potentially, there's a few mistakes on this, potentially evident again. The start time might have been a 5:33, but there was probably really good velocity there.
Yeah.
So where Mike hasn't quite got the time, he's got the speed, and that's what's been given to Taylor, and Taylor's been able to bring that down.
Well, next up, Pat Norton with Shaq Murray-Lawrence behind him. Pat finished 17th in Winterberg. And for both these Canadian sliders, 3rd World Championships. Background. You can see Lyndon Rush, the silver medalist in the last World Championships here for two-man back in 2012.
Now, Pat, generally regarded as the faster pushing pilot, with slightly less experience behind the D-rings, and Big Shaq, who's just an absolute fearless warrior on the back there, and a 5:31 getaway for the boys. So that also gives you context for actually how good that push was from Mike, for Taylor. A couple hundreds in that.
5:31 start, looking for a top 10 run here from Pat Norton as well.
Next attack, keeps it square. Now we go into the Devil's Highway.
And their coaches, Lyndon Rush, the silver medalist here back in 2012. Of course, Justin Cripps, Olympic champion with Francesco Frugic in the two-man in 2018. Bronze medalist in 2022.
His rank seems to be dropping, but he looked all right. The Devil's Highway looked pretty clean.
16th best speed, and that's the key at that stage. Teammate Taylor Austin was 7th fastest. He was just doing a little too much work on the D-rings. Maybe his runner choice isn't quite what he wanted for this weather.
Sneaks into 14th.
There you go.
Okay.
Justin Cripps on the right, Lyndon Rush on the left. They must have some medal cabinets between them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely take a look at that coaching staff. You can bite your hand off for those guys. Yeah, not too bad from Pat there. It was like I said, it looked clean through Devil's Highway. I was surprised seeing the ranking just dropping away. I was interested to see when he was losing the speed there.
Well, he's tied with Sun Kai Chi, 1500s behind Timo Rona. And how far? They're 2100s out of the top 10. That's not a big margin. Again, that's one mistake.
Big Shaq on the back there. You know, one of the things I love about Shaq, he brings such an intensity to the push and to the... He's just so dialed in to what he's doing. It reminds me of Andy Matthews from the British team. You wanted a guy like that next to you on the block. He was just absolutely ready to go.
For the Czech Republic, Matej Behunek and Michal Dobesh. Michal came into the sport with Andy Dobesh, who was their former driver. He's moved on to other things. So, young Matej. Dominic Dvorak helping with the coaching. He's also helping their skeleton team. And their skeleton athlete, Anna Fernstedt, took the bronze medal in the women's competition yesterday. 4 really good, clean runs, and it showed exactly what you need to get in amongst the medals, and that's what everybody needs in the bobsleigh as well. 18th fastest start, slipping out to 20th place.
Yeah, 5:33 getaway, which is again putting them into the region with the Canadians, which is good company to be in, so not too bad for the Czech guys there. And Matty again, new pilot, learning his trade.
Yeah. His real target here will be to make the 4th and final run, be in the top 20. Nice chicane, 17th best speed, and that will help him accelerate down through the hard. Oh, little tap.
Watch out. Is he good? He's sound. Well,
yeah. If he was going over, it would have been 17, 18, but he made it down. 19th place at the line, so he is ahead of Adam Baird. And a 55.16, 56.6. That's not what they should be, 56.6.
Neither am I, to be fair, so I'm not correcting you.
I'm trying to read the tiny timing screen before it comes up on the big screen, so get ahead of ourselves. There's a great view inside the sled. Look at the comfort, the luxury of a bobsled.
I know, I think people
Metal
sometimes...
tubes and bare carbon fibre.
Yeah, I think they're taken aback sometimes when they see what's inside.
Yeah. It is like sitting in the engine bay of a car, basically. That's not where the luxury is.
Yeah, with a couple of thin strips of padding for the particularly sharp edges. Good job, Matty. Again, for these young guys, it's another world champs, more experience with Olympic Games next year, experience of metering out your efforts and your intensity across 2 days and 4 heats. You know, it's a hell of a thing.
20 sleds down, another 12 to go in the first of 4 heats in the Men's Bobsleigh World Championships here in Lake Placid. Two-man competition continues with Alex Vergina and Riccardo Ragazzi. Vergina 16th in the worlds in two-man in Winterberg last year, and then, as he will do undoubtedly next week, going back to push Patrick Baumgartner in the 4-man.
Yeah, another one of our brakemen turned pilots. 5:21, that's a great getaway. 7th rank push. So a 7th rank push for an Italian two-man team at the moment that's a huge thing. This is where we're seeing real talent.
And that's why they have to stick Alex back in the 4-man sled, and why they also have to have him developing as a driver into Milano Cortina next year. You know, he could be a real wild card in the 2-man Olympics.
Yeah, he's moving
in the wrong direction. Yeah, speed down to 19th fastest. So he's keeping the sled sort of online, but he's doing a lot of work to do it. And the more you wrestle with the sled, the slower it goes.
Yeah.
And that is experience. Oh, he's gone. No, he hasn't. How did he not? How did he not?
I tell you what, I thought I felt that. So Riccardo definitely felt that.
56.23 slide. So they're in 20th place behind Matthew Bernek by just 700. But that was a wild ride down in the heart.
Yeah, and he looked at, like you said, the speed was dropping away, but generally it looked like it was all moving pretty well. But another inexperienced guy getting his experience, you know, trying to draw all the positives out of this. It's a hell of a track to come to.
Yeah.
If you first look at his head bouncing around there, he'll be feeling that too.
Well, Altenburg has that reputation in Europe, doesn't it? And Lake Placid has the same reputation. You've got to be on your marks. You've got to be able to drive this track. You can't just get on the top and glide down.
I think the difficulty of Placid is because it's so bumpy, it's so busy. It's just that if you're making those slight mistakes, it can just be that much harder to ride than even an Altenburg. You know, it's generally smoother. However, it's still frenetic.
Making their debut for Israel, Adam Edelman and Ragnas Kirievs, the former Latvian brakeman, leaps in behind his driver. Now, Adam's been a World Championship contender and an Olympian before, just not in a bobsled. He competed for Israel in skeleton.
Yeah, he's got a number of years on the ice now, Adam.
Yep.
And he's one of our consummate entrepreneurs. He's created different bobsleigh gear and everything. He currently produces a Burns vest, which is a good thing, and I've seen them. They're a decent quality Burns vest, so he's trying to do good things for the sport as well.
And of course, it's all part of what funds his sporting life as well. You know, it is all self-funded pretty much. Not a bad-looking run.
Yeah, some good chicane.
And again, for him, his first World Championships is on a track that he knows well. And so he will be hopeful of making the top 20. And a third of all the sleds that come down in the first heat won't go in the 4th. Rudy Rinaldi helping with the coaching, the former Monegasque driver. He was chatting to his brakeman in the opening ceremony, actually, just beforehand, and saying, yeah, he kind of had got to the end of the road with Latvia, and then somehow ended up hooking up with Adam and starting again. And bringing that knowledge of having been in a sort of big program of how it all operates and so on is really helpful when you've got a relatively new driver. To have a brakeman with experience actually takes some of the weight off the driver organising everything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And also having Rudy in the camp as well, who's been in, with Monaco with a relatively smaller program too. Someone who will have an understanding of how it all works too, and will be able to relate to him in that respect.
Very much. And Rinaldi, another youth Olympic medalist, who's a really good driver. So Adam Edelman, 22nd sled down. 23rd is our second from Czechia. This is Jakub Prochaska and Andrej Rupp. And Andrej, in and out of the sleds this season. Again, they've been cycling their brakemen through, trying to keep everybody fit and healthy, trying to keep everybody race ready as well. Doesn't seem to me to be any point in having alternate brakemen if all they do is sit on a bench and wait for the sled to arrive. Unless they're competing, their motivation and their race fitness is just going to go through the floor.
Definitely. Oh! He's kicked out of the grooves there. That is going to put pay to a lot of speed for Joachim here. Now Joachim's another brakeman turned pilot, honing his craft these last couple of years. He was quite high out of 3 there. Big tap to 4. Let's see how the Devil's Highway goes here. You can see some rocking and rolling.
And these two young guys are probably sort of having to advance quicker than they might otherwise have done, because the retirement of Dominik Dvorak 18 months ago with injury, which was not expected, but in the end his body just said, OK, no more.
Definitely. We're seeing a lot of mistakes from Joachim here. There's a lot of wild transitions, even by Placid standards. So and that kick out at the start, we're just not going to see any speed.
Oh! He's got very little experience on the Lake Placid track.
Yeah.
I mean, he's European slider, so he's learned on the European tracks, and coming over here, just in case there's Dvorak on the left.
Rueful look from Dominik on the left
Little
there.
smile on his face. I wonder how many get-out-of-jail-free cards Joachim has, because he played a couple on that run.
Yeah, you can just...
and again, he's not alone. And this is really good, because you can see drivers with less experience of this track and of driving, and how they look compared to somebody who's as polished as Francesco Friedrich or Johannes Lochner. It reminds you, this is really not easy. This is a very difficult track.
And also when you're inexperienced, the other comment I made about Brad, where he's an athlete who's at a stage where he can fix what's going wrong. Sometimes when you're new as well, as a pilot, you don't necessarily, you haven't got the feel yet. So if you've made a mistake in a corner, you don't know what it feels like to fix that mistake.
And it's not 12 corners like Innsbruck, it's 19 corners. It's twice as busy and 3 times as hard. So now then, for Canada, Cyrus Gray and Kenny Lukete-Lumpindo. And again, Cyrus, another brakeman driver, depending on the day of the week.
Yeah, and you know what, he's been given a great opportunity here to come do this World Champs. I was sitting next to him in the changing room earlier. I was like, Cyrus, just tell me something. Give me something good to tell the fans. He was like, just, say whatever you want. OK, cool. Thanks, I will. I'll make something up.
Well, don't throw him under the bus, because he's volunteered to do commentary for 4-man week, so...
No, he told me that, and I said, I'm going to give you actual real-life information.
There you go.
Whether it's true or not.
All right, 15th fastest start, 20th best speed.
Yeah, it was a good getaway. Good push from Kenny there.
And again, he'll have learned his driving licks on Lake Placid, Whistler, and also in Salt Lake. So this will be one of the first tracks that he'll have come to.
Well, and we're really seeing that here, because this is a clean run for Cyrus. Yeah. Oh, what a shame he just took that little tap early into chicane, but relatively square taps.
Yeah, wasn't a big skid. Still fringes at the top 20.
Not ideal at the bottom, but...
How close at the line? 20 seconds, 22nd place. 56.49, and again, he'll probably have come here for his driving school rather than Whistler, because the lesser of the two evils. So this is probably the very first track that he drove as he starts the conversion from being one of Canada's top brakemen.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really interested to see how Cyrus goes over the next few years, certainly approaching the 2030 games.
And then, of course, 2030 will be in La Plagne, and then 2034 will be back in North America. That will be in Salt Lake City. So the Park City track, you know, one of the first he'll have driven. He'll be in the prime of his career by that stage, hopefully.
Absolutely. So he does well to see some mistakes at the bottom here, but he does well to manage them, to be fair.
Well, see, the thing is, he knew it was coming and he drove it off hard, but he saved the sled. Okay, so it cost him time, but not as much as being on your head.
Good job, Si.
Now then, first of our Aussie sleds, Cam Scott, the driver, and Patrick Castelli, the brakeman, making their debut, like Cyrus Gray. A nurse from Sydney and rugby league player, Cam Scott, the driver. And from Bris Vegas, Patrick Castelli, a former wrestler and world record-holding strongman.
Yeah, his brakeman's a strong lad. I've seen some of his stuff on Instagram. Oh, a big skid from Cam there. These guys spend a fair bit of time on the Placid, so they know the track well.
Well, Cam, the driver, has done 14 two-man races in his career. Patrick Castelli did one here in November 2021, and he's done two since in 2024, the races here. So this is his fourth two-man race. It's not a bad-looking run either. 25th at the start, 5:49. Whoa, big skid. And again, that shows you how it can go in the chicane.
Yeah.
You've got to leave that behind you, focus on the heart, because the speeds are high here, well over 70 miles an hour. Down and done for the first of his World Championship heats, 57.29.
Yeah, there we go. And look, the different tiers of competition here. There are different goals, different outcomes, different objectives for these teams. You know, these guys aren't looking to come here and win a medal. They're looking to come here, get experience, keep the Aussie program flying along. You know, we've got Bree Walker, you know, flying the flag for the Aussies at the moment, showing that it can be done. You can get to that level. And, you know, these guys keep showing that it's, you know, there are spots to be had here. There's sleds to be
Listen, everybody started like this. Francesco Frugic, before we saw him, had to learn to drive. They all start like this.
Yeah.
Cam Scott, 14 races into his career. Driver's got a titanium plate under his right eye from a rugby injury. Nice.
That's the
that
right sort of guy for the
tiny
sport,
little touch on the back bunk flicked him into a skid. That's just bad luck. That's got nothing to do with driving ability. That is just a really unfortunate tap.
Definitely. Now here's the interesting start.
Yeah. We've got lots of debutants, but not so much Chris Horn. He's got Josh Williamson behind him. Chris Horn, 14th in Winterberg. It's his fourth World Champs, his second as a driver. Josh Williamson also in his fourth Worlds, returning from knee surgery, a 2022 Olympian.
Might see a teens here. 17, yes. There you go. So, I mean, I've competed against these guys when they were in the four-man behind Hunter in Olympic year. These guys got a #1 start at Winterberg. Now, Hunter, I think, will be the first one to admit he's not the athlete on the crew. You say, these guys told me to get the hell in the sled. They were absolute, you know, absolute horses behind him. And Horn, now learning to drive, is a real exciting talent for the American.
Well, listen, for Steve Holcomb, it was exactly the same. He always said of the crew of the night train, they give me the opportunity to make mistakes and still win. You know, the driver relies on the push athletes so much. It's like a race car driver relying on the engine.
Absolutely. Josh is one of my boys. He's a great guy, and he's had so many injury problems.
Up to 5th on the splits. He's ahead of Mickey Vogt. Frank Del doing
Oh, Chris.
But he was hanging it out and really flying, Chris Horn. And you can see how fast he was going, how far up the sled has come. 57.23. That was, he was top 5.
And it's one of the top speeds. He was 82 miles an hour down there, 133 up here.
That's a hell of a crash.
Oi, what a shame, because they pushed well. He came down, you know, on such late ice to come down like that. Oh, he'll be gutted with that one. Yeah, just lay off there. The momentum just takes them in. Just
didn't come back. That's the weight of the athletes in the sled, just rolling it up onto the corner.
Well, hopefully it's not wasn't too big a hit. You look like, you know, with Ads' crash, Ollie took a bit of a whack on the floor there. Hopefully these guys have just had a mild one. Get those shoulders off the ice as well. Yeah, they'll be gutted. Scheimer there. He's but that's huge positives, you know. Horn, you know, it went wrong there, but it goes wrong in bobsleigh. Sometimes you crash. He can drive, and they can push. And you've got someone with you know, Horn's pushing talent on the sled who can also drive. Well, there you go, you've got the magic formula.
Well, he's a second out of the top 20, so he's got 2 more heats to try and make it up. And actually, the speed he was going, I think that's quite possible. Just see some of the gouges, bits of sled, bits of ice that the athletes are picking out. I think track workers are picking out. Yeah, as you mentioned, we got track workers here from Koenigsegg in Bavaria. There's 2 things about that. First of all, they bring knowledge and experience. And secondly, the next time they pick up ice shapers, it will be on their home track.
I know.
And in fact, that's not a break in the ice. That is a bit of a helmet.
Yeah, I thought it was.
That's a little bit of an aero tab on the back. That's, I mean, and it happens. And, you know, ice skaters fall and people trip and slide and so on.
Bobsledders crash.
And bobsledders crash, and it happens. You know, the best drivers crash.
Yeah, it's not. It's
if you watch Formula One, you know that even the very best, even the world champion, has crashes.
Absolutely. And it's not much fun, but it's kind of a rite of passage, and it's just when they happen. You know, you kind of think. You take some crashes in training, you take some crashes in pre-season. You don't want it to happen at your major champs. But again, Horn early in his career as well. Another learning opportunity. You know, he will bounce back from this. You know, Kripsey crashed in Sochi, you know, at the games. Now that's where you don't want to do it. And he came back and became Olympic champion. You know, and a bronze medalist in Beijing. So hugely formative moments, these.
And if you never crash, it's because you've not quite got to the limit, and you have to be right on the limit of what's possible, what's physically possible to get the speed, because everybody else will be.
See, that's what I'd be arguing if I was crashing every week. I'm just pushing the limits. Don't worry. Yeah. We're going to be fast in the air.
Well, you know, the great Ayrton used to say that until you've crashed, you don't know what the limit is on any corner. Yeah. And he would regularly go off in free practice because he was going, no, I could go faster. I could. Okay, that's the limit.
Yeah. No,
and then you know where the limit is. And until you've stepped over that mark, you really don't. And I'm not saying that he was deliberately looking for the limit. He was just flying and felt good and knew he had it. And then you don't.
Exactly. Because your brakeman might not always be too happy about you pushing the limit. Yeah. But then if you want to win, well, I mean, I always used to say this to Brad. I was like, if we crash because you're searching for a fast line, then spin me off a corner. You know, I want to win. So if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Well, in the end, you kind of have to be win it or bin it.
Yeah, there you go.
Even over 4 heats, you really do. And it sometimes, you know, I know a few people probably say, well, no, you've got to have the long game in mind, and there is a degree of that. But I guarantee that Francesco doesn't leave anything on the table when he's sliding. No, he's not selecting top gear out the start and just cruising down. He's racing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to beat a racer, you really have to be a racer. And that's exactly what Chris Horn was doing.
Definitely. And where was he looking? He was looking at coming down in the top 6 there, was he?
He was 5th.
He was 5th.
He was 5th on the splits into the heart. I mean, that was an epic run. It didn't end epic, but boy, it was an epic run.
So the Americans know they're flying. And also, again, let's just have a quick shout out for Chuck Volker as well, because there was a 5:17 for Josh and Horn, and those are 2 world-class brakemen on those handles. Chuck with Frank. Frank's a good pusher, but Chuck pushing 200s faster. That's a very fine acquittal for the man.
We've got another new nation, relatively new nation coming up. Can you guess who it is, everybody? Go Fast Brazil, head to victory is what it says there. And you see top left-hand side, Nicole Silveira, who finished on the wider podium, in fact, in 4th position in the Women's Skeleton World Championships. By far and away her best result. We have 2 Brazilian sleds now coming up. Edson Bindelati in the queue. You will know his name because he is a 5-time Olympian, a 4-time Olympian. He's been around a while. Behind them, you can see crew from Thailand. There's their sled in the background. We've got crew from Jamaica, another crew from Australia as well. And we've got women's crews as well coming from Thailand and Jamaica. So some nations that we've not seen before at the top level, and some, of course, who have made the sport legendary. If you ever talk to somebody and say, oh, yeah, I do bobsleigh or whatever, they go, oh, what's that? They go, cool runnings? Oh, yeah, okay, so...
Yeah, it's the instant go-to in everyone's head.
Well, if they're over 20, apparently now nobody knows it. And you talk to the Jamaicans, you go, yeah, cool runnings, go, Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
It's not a thing in Jamaica. I know, it's absolutely not a thing. Most of the Jamaican athletes have probably not seen it. Okay, the 1 minute warning now for Brazil. So our 27th sled, Gustavo dos Santos Ferreira, is probably the short version of his name, because the Brazilians, like the Portuguese, tend to use every name that's ever been in their family. There's Jo Manning with the iPad. She's coaching the Brazilian crews. Rafael Souza da Silva, the brakeman. So driver's 22, made his debut here in North America's Cup in December 2021. And Raf, the brakeman from Rio de Janeiro, 100-meter sprinter, started back in 2016, but has been doing more summer sprinting than winter pushing over the last few years. But Brazil really starting to grow their federation. And the new head of the federation is here, the Brazilian Sliding Federation, Emilio Strapazon, who was in the Olympics in 2022 in skeleton, the first ever skeleton Olympics in Salt Lake City. And Emilio's young son Eduardo is now sliding as well. But Emilio, a former athlete and absolutely passionate, and all of the World Championships being covered by a channel in Brazil, live every heat. They have more than 30 million subscribers.
Yeah.
So that's a huge potential audience for these young athletes in their first ever World Championship drive.
I'll tell you what, not a bad getaway, 5:29. You see the brakeman, just a bit of inexperience there, but absolute keen and intent, because he ran that way too far. He need to get it a lot sooner.
And the first time they'll ever have slid with so much around them, so many big names, TV cameras, all the other nonsense. And it is a distraction, and it does ramp up the adrenaline.
Definitely, but they know this track well. I'd be fascinated to see how Edson Benham goes in the next one as well, because he was coming down really well in training.
Good height out of Shady, 16th fastest start. You can't argue with that. These two kids are quick off the block.
Absolutely, and seeing the next generation coming through as well.
What a lovely chicane as well. 20th best speed. A couple of mistakes early on have cost them positions. They're in 25th place. They might pick up a couple at the line. They do. There you go. They're ahead of the two sleds that have crashed, Chris Horn and Ads Baird. So they're in 23rd place. So Gustavo dos Santos Ferreira and Rafael Souza da Silva.
Yeah, sneaking ahead of the Czech team as well. It's not too bad. They're a lot more experienced, I think.
Absolutely. And after a 5-minute hold as well.
But again, talking in terms of levels and goals and objectives and things like that, you know, these guys are just going to be wanting to get down for as many runs as possible, soak up the atmosphere, soak up the camera, soak up what's different about a major championships compared to an NAC and stuff like that. And
well, 4 heats that aren't that aren't separated. If they do North America's Cup, they'll do a 2-heat race one day, a 2-heat race the next day. So that much sort of is the same. But you're right, this is...
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah,
this is a dress rehearsal for, hopefully for them, or their teammates, getting to the games next year. So Edson Bindalati and Edson Martins for Brazil. Bindalati, 45 years old, started in 2000, a 4-time Olympian. This is only his 2nd World Championships. So he only competed in 1 Worlds, but 4 Olympic Games, competed in Innsbruck in 2016. And Edson Martins has been with him almost all that journey. He's a 3-time Olympian as well. So, I mean, huge experience. And
29, that is not a bad getaway.
Well, they're only giving away 20 years each to their junior rivals and still matching them at start.
Big skid there, though.
Yeah, big skid 2 to 3, and a skid out of 3 into 4 as well.
So that skid from 2 to 3, you said earlier, that, that will scrub a lot of velocity from the start. You see how Edson brings this down the rest of the track. And he's super experienced here. He knows this track well.
Still in the top 20 off the 16th fastest start. Now can you find a little bit of speed down below the chicane? If he can come straight through here, not too bad.
A little skid, but no, it's not too bad at all. 14th best speed.
14th best speed. This could be a top 20 run. Edson Bindalati of Brazil, one of the absolute dyed-in-the-wool enthusiasts. Yeah. Well, he's got the experience, and boy, does he have. I can remember chatting to him years ago here, and he's saying, Martin, I need some new boys to come in. I need to retire, but there's just no one to hand on the baton to. Now they're creating that team. I think Brazil is really going to start to make waves.
Yeah, what a great athlete to have in your team when you're a new brakeman or a new pilot in a sport that's already a niche sport with a smaller minor nation in that niche sport. You know, you've got someone, you know, of Edson's stature to sort of to learn off and to work on. That's and
enthusiasm. And they're going to go back up and go, guys, you're 20 years younger than us. Would you just push a bit faster? There's going to be some banter between the two crews, definitely. Both starting 5:29. There you go, Edson Benham. What a ledge. So, next up, again, we're really deep into rookie territory. This is Kitamat Palakai and Sitipon Donpriti from Thailand. A 24-year-old brakeman is a police officer, 100, 200, 4x1 sprinter. He's done 4 races. His driver, 17-year-old former roller skier, and he has done 8 two-man races. His debut was here in November 2024. Yeah. Talk about a young program.
And you know what, this is great, seeing sort of more kind of pan-Asian nations getting involved in bobsleigh is fantastic as well, because we've got great tracks over in Asia. Yeah. So the more Asian nations we get involved, this is brilliant. So these guys setting the standard. We've got like a Thai Mihai Tentea here. You know, somebody's going to be on potentially on the circuit from the age of 16, 17.
100%. They've got a women's crew as well, and there's a crew also from Chinese Taipei. All are funded by the Legacy Foundation from the Pyeongchang 2018 Games. So that Korean legacy is supporting young Asian, not just young Asian teams either. Give them somewhere to live and train, and of course, you know, a fabulous Olympic track on which to compete. Absolutely. And then to come in, they're not even in double figures of the races they've done together, and they've come into the World Championships. Rabbit meet headlights, and they are just so enthusiastic and just loving being around all this stuff.
Well, you know what? We've seen other sleds more experienced not get down, you know? They're getting down in a major championships. And also the guy on the back, you know, he's a 10.6 sprinter. You know, that's moving. That's not too shabby at all. More than fast enough for a bobsledder. So some real some potential to look at for the future here.
Well, you might see the Thai team coming to try and wrestle him in for the Summer Games as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
But which is not a deficit. That's a bonus. You know, if you can get picked up and go to Summer and Winter Games, didn't hurt Lolo Jones much.
That's it. More experience and more to bring to the team. Good job.
There you go. And away from the blocks goes Shana Pitter and Tyrek Butner from Jamaica. More debutants.
5:24, good getaway. So now the pair of sub-11 100-metre sprinters here. I think we've got a 10.9 guy in the front seat and a 10.7 guy in the back seat. So
Driver's done a dozen races, 6 of which have been here, and his brakeman has done a handful, 8 races in his life. So Tyreek, the brakeman, 24 years old, started here in November, I beg your pardon, in March last year. And Shane Pitter actually competed in the Push World Championships we had here back in 2022. And a handful of NAC races.
Nice through the chicane.
They're nice looking lines.
He's coming down really well. If he keeps his clean at the bottom, which he is.
13th best start. I mean, you just can't argue with that. Good getaway. 22nd place. Yeah, 56.24 run for Shane Pitter.
And he's 300s from the top 20. That's a great run. Well done.
But again, you know, half of all the races he's done, so a total of 6 on this track. So what's he got? Maybe 40 runs down this track, maybe 50 runs. A lot more than some of the Europeans, but still really in the infancy of his career. So great stuff.
Definitely. And also, if you notice in the start there, they actually got in quite early. So 24 on the start, but getting in early sometimes, if you've got enough speed in the sled, loading in like that in the grooves, you maintain a lot of velocity. So again, they probably had really good speed there all the way down the track, because he didn't really lose it in the drive. So that was a pretty solid effort, but I think they could take a few hundreds off that. They might be able to get into the team.
They could well be in the top 20s.
That's a great return.
Now then, for Australia, the second Aussie crew, driver Rhys Peters is 31, Ben Forst on the back, 28. He's from Wollongong, an Aussie rules football player, so harder than nails. Starting back in 2023, the brakeman's done 7 two-man races. The driver, his first race was in November 21 in Whistler, and then started again in 2023. So, driver Rhys Peters from Bris Vegas gives his trade as a tradie, so jack of all trades, a builder fixer. 5:43 getaway, and again these guys just loving being here in Lake Placid and being part of the World Championships.
Definitely, they won the push off within the push off, so a 49 for Scott's team and a 43 for the boys there. Let's see if we can bring it down ahead of Scott.
Again, they've competed only in the North America's Cup, so here, Whistler and Park City. So, got knowledge of the track. It shows it's not the fastest sled, but it's a pretty clean-looking run. He's not making too many mistakes. What speed they took off the start, they've got with them. You can see the sled's been around the block a couple of times.
I was going to say, it looks like a classic learning development sled.
Yeah. More filler than bodywork, but that's a nice-looking run.
Yeah, good job,
26th place, 57 dead. That is a nice-looking run for Rhys Peters and Ben Forst as they start their World Championship campaign.
That's it, and like I said, the race within a race again. He's done him at the start and he's done him at the bottom there as well. So nice for the rivalry within the team.
And again, these guys, like so many actually in the second half of the field, in the foothills of their career, and hopefully another 4 years as we start to look towards heading into the games in France at La Plage, and these guys will be much more experienced.
Yeah, and there's things. Looking at the brakeman there, you can see he's just up a little high. You know, there's loads of like little nuances, little aero things you could chuck in there. There's loads to improve upon there. So a good job from the boys.
Well, now and again from our final sled, Jeff Gadbois and Bryce Cheek, we might get a surprise or two. Gadbois grew up on this track, slid Pee-wee Bob, the little kid sleds here. His third World Championships, raced in Whistler and in St. Moritz in the Worlds. And Bryce Cheek, 31-year-old brakeman, 12 two-man races since his first in November 2021. So again, only competed in North America's Cup. Let's see what they've got at the start.
Yeah, so another skillful brakeman here. And Jeff Gadbois just so experienced on this track. So
knows this track inside out. He's been coming here since he was literally, I think, 3 or 4.
And 5:23, that is a good getaway for Jeff as well. So Bryce has done a sensational job there.
Well, we saw Chris Horn putting the cat among the pigeons with his run. 10th best start. Little square tap out of 3. 11th on the splits. Where's the speed gone? 18? We'll have to take a look at that again. Top 10 runs so far, though, for Jeff Gadbois. If he's going to do it, he's going to do it on this ice.
He seems to be going pretty well here. You say knows this track well, the equipment's built for this track here.
I wonder if the transponder is just telling us a few porkies. That seems a little more accurate. 10th best speed through the chicane. He's in the top 10, up to 9th place, ahead of Brad Hall.
This is a huge run from Jeff.
And this is a really good first run. He's not got the best of the ice, and it's still a top 10 run. Excellent stuff.
That would have been 3 American sleds in the top 10 on home ice. You know, that's a fantastic result for the guys.
This is one of those tracks where home field advantage is a thing.
It really is.
Because the Europeans, the World Cup doesn't come here as often, and knowing this track gives you a massive advantage.
Yeah, we as athletes, certainly for myself as brakeman, like especially for coming from a country where we don't have our own tracks, we want to be in America, we want to be in Canada, we want to be sliding these tracks, we enjoy these tracks, and it really is a shame we don't get to come here more.
Well, the
facilities
problem is,
are amazing.
particularly since COVID, it costs fortunes to ship sleds. Absolute fortunes. And realistically, almost nobody can afford to be coming over the Atlantic every single season. And when we do, we try and make sure we do all the tracks if possible.
Yeah.
All right, so the first heat is done. Some very interesting stories going on in this. At At the top of the pile, perhaps not the biggest surprise of all, Francesco Friedrich and Alexander Schiller. Friedrich, an 8-time two-man world champion. He leads the field from the world champion in 2023, Johannes Lochner, and the silver medalist last year, Adam Amor, is in 3rd place. So the first of 4 heats completed, with two sleds going over. Francesco Friedrich, Johannes Lochner, Adam Amor. Frank Del Duca 4th, ahead of Michi Vogt and Kim Jin-soo. Then Cedric Follador, Mihai Tentea, Brad Hall, and Jeff Gadbois. And Gadbois will get conditions much more similar to the lead group in the 2nd heat when they go in reverse order. Taylor Austin, what a good run from both Canadians. They're in the top 15. And then in 19th, 20th place, Lee Chun-jan and Matej Behonek. Behonek in that bottom of the cut spot. Then Brazil, Jamaica, Israel, the Aussies. There's a lot to conjure with here, and the Thai sled as well will go into the 2nd heat. We'll wait to see if the sleds that crashed do go again, Chris Horn and Adam Baird, but hopefully they will do. And we will be back with our 2nd heat in, checks calendar, there'll be a 10-minute delay, so it'll be 11:10, which will be in just over half an hour's time.
Look at the fan.
Until then, take it easy. We'll see you in 35 minutes from now.